the CEO fired a quiet single dad. She never expected the call that followed. Daniel Carter didn't beg when the CEO fired him. He didn't argue. He didn't accuse anyone of injustice. He simply took off his employee badge, placed it gently on the polished conference table, thanked everyone for the opportunity, and walked toward the elevator carrying a small cardboard box filled with years of hard work. As the glass doors closed behind him, dozens of employees watched in silence, believing they had just witnessed the end of an ordinary maintenance engineer's career. None of them knew that less than 10 minutes later, one unexpected phone call would shake the entire company and force the woman who had fired him to question every decision she had ever made. Before we continue, Armin hesitated. If you believe kindness is never weakness, and every woman deserves to like this video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, leave a comment below, and subscribe to Beyond Kindness for more emotional stories that remind us why humanity still matters. Daniel had never wanted attention. Every morning before sunrise, he quietly unlocked service doors, checked electrical systems, repaired elevators, inspected emergency generators, and made sure hundreds of employees could begin their work without ever noticing the invisible man who made everything function. After losing his wife Emily to cancer 5 years earlier, his entire world revolved around his 8-year-old daughter Lily. Every extra shift, every late night, every missed holiday was for one purpose alone: to give Lily a future filled with hope instead of hardship. Lily had inherited her mother's bright smile, but she also inherited the fragile heart that required expensive medical treatment every few months. Daniel never complained about hospital bills or sleepless nights. Instead, he learned to cook, braid hair before school, help with homework, and comfort his daughter whenever she missed her mother. People often described him as quiet, but silence had become his way of carrying pain without placing it on anyone else's shoulders. Halcyon Technologies had recently welcomed its youngest CEO, Victoria Lawson. Brilliant, ambitious, and determined to prove herself, Victoria believed efficiency mattered more than sentiment. She saw departments only through numbers on financial reports. Maintenance expenses appeared unusually high, and consultants convinced her that outsourcing the entire facilities division would save millions. She never bothered meeting the people behind those numbers. One Monday morning, Daniel and 23 co-workers were called into a conference room. Human Resources distributed envelopes while Victoria confidently explained the company's exciting new direction. To her, it was simply another business decision. To Daniel, it was the loss of the only stable income keeping Lily's treatment alive. Still, he smiled politely as he walked through the lobby carrying his box. Several younger employees looked away in embarrassment. Others wanted to thank him for years of quiet help but found no words. Daniel simply nodded and stepped outside into the cold afternoon sunlight. Then his phone rang. The caller ID displayed an unfamiliar government number. Daniel answered calmly. Within seconds, his expression changed. He listened carefully, thanked the caller, and quietly said he would arrive as soon as possible. He climbed into his aging pickup truck and drove away. Inside Halcyon's headquarters, life continued normally until the company's central operating systems suddenly failed. Elevators stopped between floors. Backup generators refused to activate. Climate controls shut down. Laboratories containing millions of dollars worth of sensitive equipment began overheating. Security systems malfunctioned across multiple buildings. Panic spread rapidly. Executives rushed through hallways, demanding answers, while technicians struggled unsuccessfully to restore operations. Victoria ordered everyone to contact the outsourcing company she had hired. The company admitted they couldn't send engineers until the following day. Millions of dollars were disappearing every hour. Then someone quietly reminded the CEO that Daniel had personally designed many of the emergency maintenance protocols after preventing a major electrical disaster years earlier. Although officially listed as a maintenance engineer, he possessed extraordinary technical knowledge, earned through decades of experience. Victoria reluctantly asked human resources to call him. No answer. They called again. Still nothing. Meanwhile, Daniel had arrived at Children's Hope Medical Center. The mysterious phone call had come from a charity foundation established by an anonymous donor. Years earlier, Daniel had quietly repaired the foundation's aging heating system free of charge after discovering they couldn't afford emergency repairs. He had refused payment, saying the money should help sick children instead. The foundation's director had never forgotten. After hearing about Lily's medical condition through hospital staff, the anonymous donor decided to cover every remaining treatment she would ever need. Daniel stood frozen as tears slowly filled his eyes. For the first time since Emily's death, he felt the crushing weight on his shoulders begin to lift. He wasn't crying because someone offered financial help. He was crying because kindness he had given, without expecting anything, had somehow found its way back to his daughter years later. While Daniel embraced Lily inside her hospital room, chaos consumed Halcyon Technologies. News of the system failure reached investors. Stock prices began falling. Important clients threatened to cancel contracts. Victoria realized she had eliminated not just employees, but decades of irreplaceable knowledge. Late that evening, she finally reached Daniel. She expected anger. She expected demands. Instead, Daniel listened quietly before agreeing to visit the headquarters the following morning. Not because he wanted revenge, but because hundreds of innocent employees depended on the company remaining open. When Daniel entered the building, the same workers who had silently watched him leave now greeted him with respect. He carried no resentment, only a small toolbox. For the next several hours, Daniel carefully diagnosed failures that expensive consultants couldn't even identify. He restored generators, reconfigured emergency control systems, repaired corrupted backups, and stabilized the entire facility before sunset. Applause echoed through the operations center. Victoria stood speechless. She finally understood that leadership wasn't measured by bold presentations or quarterly reports. It was measured by recognizing the value hidden inside ordinary people. She invited Daniel into her office. For the first time since becoming CEO, she removed the invisible wall between executive and employee. Daniel shared stories about every technician, cleaner, electrician, and security guard, whose names executives rarely remembered, but whose work kept the company alive every day. Victoria realized she had spent months studying spreadsheets while completely ignoring human beings. Days later, Halcyon reversed its outsourcing decision. Every terminated employee received their job back with higher salaries and improved benefits. Daniel was offered a senior executive position overseeing operations. To everyone's surprise, he declined. Instead, he accepted a leadership role focused on mentoring younger employees and improving workplace culture. He believed titles meant little if kindness disappeared. Inspired by Daniel's example, Victoria established the Emily Carter Family Support Program, honoring Daniel's late wife by providing emergency financial assistance, childcare support, and flexible schedules for single parents working throughout the company. Employees no longer feared asking for help. The workplace slowly transformed into a community. Months later, Victoria visited Lily during one of her hospital checkups. Watching Daniel laugh with his daughter reminded her that success built only on profits could never compare to success built on compassion. She often reflected on the day she fired the quiet single father. She believed she had removed an expense. Instead, she had nearly lost the heart of her company. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like this video, share it with your friends and family, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Beyond Kindness. Your support helps us continue sharing stories that remind the world that kindness still changes lives. Special request. Before this story ends, please comment with one word: kindness. If you believe even the smallest act of compassion can return when we need it most. Years later, people at Halcyon no longer remembered the day the systems failed. They remembered something far more important. They remembered the quiet single father who walked away with dignity instead of bitterness, returned with compassion instead of revenge, and proved that the strongest people are often the ones who speak the least but love the most. And every time Lily smiled, healthy and full of hope, Daniel knew that life had given him the greatest reward of all. Not wealth, not status, but the beautiful reminder that kindness never truly disappears. It simply waits for the right moment to come home.